Hey guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter card game review. Today's game up on the tabletop is called DarkWeb. DarkWeb is by Spider Goat Games, and it is for 3 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, and it takes about half an hour to play. In the game, we play as specialized hackers, and we are trying to get enough data to take down this mega or evil mega corporation. Now, obviously, the good guys are the black hats in the game, and there is a potential for there to be a white hat. The white hat is like the Fed, and he's going to try and get into our sect and join us, and also pretend to score points with us, because we need points in order to win the game. Now, we're not going to necessarily know who this guy is unless we can tell by his actions, but at the end of the game, his points won't count for none, and our points will determine whether or not we've actually managed to hack the corporation and gain the data much needed to take it down. Now, let me go ahead and show you what the game looks like. Alright guys, so here we have the contents for DarkWeb. Now it's a bunch of cards, right? But there are different types of cards in here. First of all, you have your point cards, which are just simply symbols with different colors, as well as the different symbols located on the cards. Then you're going to have scripts. These are all the different scripts that can be used throughout the game, and they're going to provide some benefit or negative effect, as well as viruses and locks. Locks are going to actually cancel us from being able to continue, so with a push your luck mechanism. And viruses give us negative points if we log out with our hands in them, with them in our hands. We're also going to get this big stack of cards here, which and it has all these different types of cards in it, providing a 10-card discard pile and 2 different decks to draw from, as well as our black and white hat cards, which will indicate whether we're the good guys, the hackers, or the Fed, the bad guy. Finally, we'll get round cards, which will indicate what round it is, and on our final round, which will end the game. So like I was saying, the first thing you need to do is separate the deck into 2 piles that are about equal. Then you take 10 cards off the top, 5 cards from each deck, and put them face down as a face down discard pile. Then you're going to separate the black and the white hat cards here, and you're going to put 1 a white hat in and 3 black hats for a 3-player game, or 4 black hats and 1 white hat for a 4-player game. So there's always the opportunity to where there is no white hat and it's only black hats, right? Except for a 6-player game, there is guaranteed to be a white hat. After you've gone ahead and done that, everybody is going to be ready to play after you set the round marker to 4. And every round, it's going to go to 3, and then 2, and then 1. And after that, there'll be a scoring round. Let me show you how a couple turns are done. Alright guys, so we've now set up. Now obviously these cards would be in the decks as well, but we're having these out for an example so you'll understand. We're going to have to start by just getting these hats here. This will be a 4-player game, so as you see there are 4 different black hats and a white hat, and you're going to mix them up, okay? So you mix them up just like that, and then deal out 4 cards, and there'll be 1 remaining that goes away. Now everybody gets to look at their cards, so only they get to see them. Now obviously in this one, wow, it's only black hats, okay? So that means they're all working together. However, they don't know they're working together. So you have to be aware that there might be a person in here that it's not every game is going to be like this, right? So what's going to happen right now is the first player is going to go, and that's all you got to do is simply draw a card and look at it. Okay, this is a virus. This says that as long as it's in your hand, and if you log out with it, it's going to be a -1 to your point total. All right, he's going to keep this card and place it right there. Now on his turn, drawing a card. This is a hero script, which means he can play this script at the very beginning of his turn. He's on your turn, you can play a script, and then after you play your script, you can choose to draw a card or log out. Now, if you log out, you obviously don't do anything else that you want, but you can always play a script. So this card will be saved, because if there's more locks than people want, you can play this card, and it will kind of kill you for the round. So, next player is going to go and draw a card. Ooh, this is a point card. Now, unfortunately, only 1 is not enough for a point. You're actually going to need 2 of these cards. So every single card after the first card is going to count as a point. So if you had 1 of every single one of these cards in your hand, that's going to give you no points. But if you had 2 of every card in your hand, it's going to give you 4 points. So this card will go right there. And we're going to keep going, and you just keep drawing cards. Here's another point card. Here's another point card. Ooh, another point card. Look at that. A virus, he gets a -1 point. And there's a search card. This will let you search cards from the discard pile up to 5, and you can put them back into the deck. Now, that could be good for the good guy or the bad guy, depending on what cards he wants to search for and put in. Remember, whenever you're playing a card in this game, you're only going to be placing them face down unless they are a script. So the person who searches for this deck is never going to show anybody what cards they're putting back into these decks here. They're only going to know that a card has been played when a script is played face up at the very beginning of a turn. This guy just drew a card. Okay, now here's something interesting. This is a lock card. Whenever there is a certain amount of lock cards in the game, there's going to be 5, I believe, total. Yes, there's 5 lock cards total. And whenever 5 are revealed, that is when the round is over. And anybody who hasn't logged out is going to be removed and get no points whatsoever. So that's going to be bad. You don't want to do that. However, sometimes you might actually want to if you have a bunch of negative points in your hand. However, when you draw a lock card, you're simply going to draw another card and put it in your hand. Ooh, this guy got another virus, so he's -2 points. Now, obviously, as a black hat, if you log out with viruses in your hand, that's going to be negative points, so you don't want to do that. As a white hat, however, no points are scored no matter if he logs out or not. So it doesn't matter what points he gets in his hand. He's just trying to stop people from getting points. All right, another card. Here's a lock card again. Boop. And he gets to draw another card. Another lock card. Wow. Money card. Okay, this guy just drew a card. It's a trade card. This lets you trade 1 card with another player. He can play as a script at the beginning of his turn. And this guy, what does he have? He has the search. So he can take the search. He'll play the search face up. He gets to go through he gets to go ahead and shuffle this. Then he gets to take the top 5 cards, and he gets to look at them and determine which ones he wants to put back in. Ooh, look at that. There's locks there. So he's going to leave these locks in here because he's a good guy. Now, if he was a bad guy, he'd put 3 locks in the decks. But he's a bad guy. But he's a good guy, so he's going to put these guys back in here, and you can shuffle it up. And then he chooses which deck he wants, and he shuffles these guys into that specific deck. And he can even announce what cards he put in. It doesn't really matter. You can say whatever you want, because nobody knows if you're lying or not. This card will go face down into the discard pile, and he would draw a card for his turn. Money card. All right, this guy, does he have anything he wants to play? And he needs to get rid of these negative points. Okay, so this gives him a point right here. Now he's at 1 point, but he's got -2 here, so he doesn't want to log out. Now, on your turn, let's say this guy had a point. Let's say he had a point. Maybe he had these guys in his hand. He would get 2 points. He could choose to log out. He would move himself away for the round, and that would give him points, adding to a total for the end of the game. Now, it's going to keep going like this until you're going to get 5 lock cards, like I said. So once 5 of these guys pop out, then you're going to move the board away and remove these locks from the game. They go away into the discard pile. And everybody who logged out is going to score keep their points separate. And if you didn't log out, you lose all of the cards in your hand, and they are gone. Then the next round will begin, and play will start all over again. So what I showed you is basically 1 round of 4, and people have the option, like I said, to log out or to continue to push your luck to try and draw the cards you need to score points. Now there's a couple cards that help you along the way. I showed you a few, but let me tell you about the rest of them, right? Like I said, the hero one, right? This one can make you basically cancel, you just stop playing, you kind of die for that 1 round, and you will remove 1 lock from the field. So instead of that 5, if you have 4, it'll go down to 3. Which will save you guys 1 extra lock and possibly get somebody else points, especially if you have a lot of viruses in your hand, right? This card is sort, which means you take the top 3 cards, sort them in any way you want, and you can talk about them. Over here we have dump. This one would be great for the guy who had a lot of viruses in his hand. You can discard a certain amount of cards from your hand. I think it's 3 cards from your hand, or up to, something like that, where you put them into the graveyard, and that would get rid of those viruses. You can also trade people dumps. For instance, here's a gift. This you can gift 2 cards to a certain person, which is a great card, as well as trade, which means you can trade cards back and forth with somebody, 1 card. Now, obviously, everything's done face down, and nobody gets to know exactly what cards were played or given, except for the 2 people doing that trading action, right? And the rounds would continue just like that. 4 rounds of it, and the points would be simple. After the 4th round, and everybody who has logged out, everybody's going to have certain piles for each of the rounds, right? You're going to add up all of those piles in order, and if your team has 15 points and there was no white hat, then your team wins. However, if there was a white hat, you only need 12. But you also have to realize that the white hat is trying to stop you from getting points. He might be giving viruses out. He might be trying to take all the points for himself, and he's scoring those points, pretending to be a good guy. But the problem is, all those points don't count for nada. So after the 4th round, if you can get those certain amount of points, you win the game, and that is how you play DarkWeb. Alright, so I'm just going to jump right into the review of this game. First of all, DarkWeb is a very fun experience. And yes, it has that trader element, but the thing is with the game, the trader is really hard to spot out. And in fact, I think the best way to play is obviously to spread out as much as you possibly can the points, because if there is a trader in the game, he's royally going to screw you, and that is his goal. And in fact, of all the times we played the game, we never won once. And trust me, we played a lot and actually didn't have a lot of the white hat popping up, which was interesting. So the game is very, very hard. Now, the experience is wonderful, and I enjoyed it every single time. And in fact, you feel like you're losing the game throughout the entire time, but at the end, you're actually really, really close to winning. In fact, most of the games we lost by maybe a point or 2. So that doesn't detract away from the experience, I think. Now, the thing is as well, though, that the traitor is, because he's very hard to spot, and he can play as a good guy and continue to help you guys, it's very difficult to know who's bad and who's good, and so that can detract a little bit from the gameplay. I think the only issue we have with this game is the ending is kind of like, oh no, like, we almost would have won, but this guy was the traitor. Well, how could we have stopped that? How could we have made it something different? And we never could come up with anything. Suffice to say, though, all the cards were very, very enjoyable to play. It's a very fun push-your-luck game. I mean, we have continued to play this over and over again, even though we continue to lose over and over again. So, like I said, don't detract from it, as long as you don't mind the fact that you're probably not going to win most of the time. Also, I think it would be very cool to see more cards doing stronger things. Maybe make the game a little easier. I think that would be something that could be good for people that are a little less prone to wanting to play ghost stories, which is kind of what this game reminds me of in terms of difficulty. I really like the style of cards and how you have the option to choose between the two decks, and the trader has the ability to put bad cards into the deck or trade bad cards with people, as well as just be overtly good. And that's kind of the theme of the game, is you don't, the CIA agent or whatever, the Fed is trying to blend in, and that's kind of the point. You're not really going to know who it is at any point in time until the very end of the game. But I think it would be interesting to add a couple cards that you could add to put in that would actually give you a little more interaction with players as far as finding out who the bad guy is, or even increasing the scoring points, or maybe make the bad guy be able to score points in some aspect, or stop the other players from scoring points at some kind of disadvantage or advantage depending on how you're situating it. Altogether, though, I really, really enjoyed this game. This is a very fun game, even without the traitor element, even just playing as Black Hats, which you can do. You can just throw away the traitor element and play it just as a Black Hat for 15 points a game. It still will give you a big run for your money. Now, of course, adding the element of the traitor is going to give that even more feeling of dread and doom, which is perfect for the game because you really do feel like you're delving into the secret, this big corporation, and you're trying to accomplish the impossible, which for us, it unfortunately was. However, a very good game. Definitely check out DarkWeb. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter card game review. If you like this game and you'd like to see more, go and check out the rest of our videos here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. It all helps, please, and thank you. Also, if you like DarkWeb and you want to check it out, go ahead and go down to the description below, and there's a link right for the Kickstarter. It's going on right now. Alright guys, go ahead and check out our unfilteredgamer.com site. We've got tons of blog posts, giveaways, our Kickstarter list, and more, as well as checking out our giveaways. We've got a couple sponsored, and along with our affiliate websites, Devitoast Gaming, everythingboardgames.com, and the Giveaway Geek. They are awesome. They've got tons of stuff for you guys, and if you like free stuff, they have got a lot of it. Alright guys, well that's it for this episode, and we look forward to seeing you next time.